Okay, so if I just get, I know Marion, I don't know, if I get you both to say your names, ages, and where you're from, just for the, starting up.
I'm Richard Freetag, I'm 22 and I'm from Ipswich.
I'm Marion Palmer, I'm 40 and I live here in Wieanbilla.
And who are the lovely kiddies?
Okay, and this is my son Jackson. He is 3 years old, he lives with me. This is my daughter Sky Rose, she is 11 years old, she lives with me. Then we have little Noah, he's only 1, he lives with us. And behind me is Peter, he's 6 and he also lives with me.
A little camera shy, but
he's very camera shy.
Well, look,
his nose is bleeding.
I wanted to ask first up, how long since you noticed a change in the kids' health, and I guess the other side of the question is what made you conclude that the coal seam gas development had something to do with it?
Okay, sure. We moved out here permanently in July last year. We started all becoming very ill around September, beginning of September. So we started eliminating things first. Like if it was flora around us making us sick, medical reasons, everything was discarded. It wasn't any of that. So then we started leaning towards the coal seam gas making us sick, because we'd never been sick prior, and it also made a lot more sense from the time we've lived here. That's the only time we've been sick. My son Richard moved in with us around Christmas. We were really happy. That didn't last long. His family, he has a young family, they became very ill and he couldn't cope watching the kids sick, so they left and moved back to Ipswich.
How far are you from coal seam gas infrastructure that could be affecting your health?
We are exactly 1.1 k's from the well.
And what have medical professionals had to tell you about the possible causes for the kids' health problems?
They have no exact answers at this stage. With little Noah, we questioned that one severely because he hemorrhaged in the brain when he was 8 days old and then ended up with a secondary hydrocephalus, being fluid on the brain. He moved out here in July with us and he keeps crying, holding his head, screaming, so we know it's a headache. I've queried it with the neurosurgeons constantly and the paediatricians down in Brisbane at the Mater Children's, and they've told us, after reviewing him, doing more scans of the head and tests behind the eyes to see if there's fluid, it is definitely not medical, it is environmental with Noah. The doctors here, I've been in and out constantly. Every week I go with severe headaches. I don't think there's a medication I haven't tried, and they have now told me there is nothing left for me to try.
So it's not just the kids being affected?
Everyone in my family is affected, be it adult or child. Yeah.
And has there been any, have you been in contact with local or state government regarding this? Have you asked questions of local politicians, and if so, what's been the response?
I've written an email to the Honourable Lawrence Springborg. I've not had a reply, surprise. I've contacted QGC. I've told them how sick we all are. They claim that they're concerned for us, but they don't believe it's them making us sick. They're now asking us whether it could be landfill making us sick. We don't know of any landfill around here. We know it's not. It's the coal seam gas making us sick.
And I know that yours isn't an isolated case. How many other people do you know of who are also having similar health problems to you and the kids?
I know quite a lot of families and couples out here. I probably know of at least another 5 or 6 families and 4 or 5 couples that we've befriended here that have the same thing.
In terms of the impact on the emotional health, I suppose, of you and your family, what sort of an impact has it had on your mental health, I guess?
It's enormous. We are very depressed. We were like the typical Aussie family. We moved out here. We wanted to live in the clean country air, build a big house for our children. It's impacted us in a way now that we've become, my husband and I and the kids, we're quite depressed. We've got no motivation to continue building. It's split my family. That's the worst of it. Like I said, my son's moved away from me now. I have an 18-year-old son that lives with me. He's actually in Ipswich right now because he can't cope. He has horrendous nosebleeds, headaches, and he just left. He's actually looking at staying down there now. So it's horrendous.
It would seem unbelievable almost to people in the city to hear that, not just that you're having these health problems, but that you can't even get a response from a letter from the government, and the company seems to be washing its hands of you. What would you have to say to people in the city who have no idea that this is happening out here?
It is happening out here, and it's not nice. I pray every night that no one in the city ever has to go through what we're going through. There is no one to help us. We are literally on our own out here trying to fight, and we're not just fighting the gas, we are fighting for our life out here. We don't know what the long term's doing to not just us but our children, the impact that it's going to have. There are no words. Like, it's just devastating. Nobody wants to know about what's going on up here, like when it comes to the government. We can't seem to get anyone to listen. Everything gets fobbed off as other reasons. It's really difficult.
And just finally from me, what do you see as the prospects for you and your family? Can you move if you had to move, if you felt you were forced to move? Would that be an option? And what are the options as far as you can see for the way forward?
That's been raised many a times by the surgeons in Brisbane. It's also been asked by the doctors up here. If we're that sick, why can't we move? It's not an option. It's financially, you can't do it. To just pick up a family and move, it costs an awful lot of money. And we're not in that situation where we can just up and leave our property that we have. Where do you go? Like, where do you go? There is nowhere to go for us. We're stuck here. And we've got to try to deal with what we have here. And, we don't know what the future's going to hold. It might get to the point where we just simply have to go. But again, where do you go?
Do you have a mortgage on your property?
We are under vendor finance, so we are locked in a contract, a legal contract.
And if you had wanted to sell your property, what's the chances of that happening?
Nobody wants to buy out here. No. We've got no hope of selling out here. No hope at all.
Do you feel like your water's getting contaminated, or is just all the toxins coming from the gas, from the ventilation nearby?
We think some of the toxins are in our dam, because we used to bathe in the dam water, like settled dam water, and the kids would come out in horrific rashes, like absolutely horrific rashes. So we've stopped that now, and the rashes seem to be easing off a bit.
That all happened in a short period of time, or after they started that well nearby? Was that in July last year? Or?
We believe the well was fired up around June, July last year, just from conversations with people from QGC. And we started getting ill, around September, so I believe it's from that well, definitely. Last week, I've always got a headache, just a constant headache. My kids have always got constant headaches, nosebleeds, rashes, nausea, vomiting. last week for 4 days, we were fine, all of us. I had no headache, the kids had no headaches, there were no nosebleeds. On Friday, I got my headache back. Young Jackson was taken to hospital on Friday with a constant all-day nosebleed. His nose had been bleeding all day. So we contacted 13 Health and they said take him to the hospital. It was logged at the hospital. They couldn't explain it to us. But then I also know when my headache was gone, my husband walked up to the closest well that's near us and we could hardly hear anything. Normally we can always hear a humming noise. The noise had, well, it seemed like it had been wound down because we couldn't hear it for 4 days, and miraculously I had no headache. My daughter wasn't sick. Friday I had to pick her up from school. She became that ill and has been since. Jackson since Friday has had 2 nosebleeds, one being today and on Friday. My headache's back since Friday. My son came up last Wednesday to visit for a few days. On Friday his kids started with severe diarrhea. They have severe diarrhea up here, so do my children again. But yesterday my husband walked up to the well again and it's fired right back up. So we think it's been wound down for a few days because we had noise testers around, and we actually, my husband drove out one night because a car had pulled up outside our property and switched their lights off and cut the motor, so it's suspicious. We have a lot of people here stealing at the moment. So he went out with my son to investigate, and they actually chased the car around the corner to outside of this property here actually, and it was QGC. My husband asked them what the hell they were doing, and their reply was, quite frankly, we are checking the noise. So they were listening out for noise to make sure it was wound back far enough, because after that day there was no noise for several days. But yeah, now it's in full swing again. Yeah. Is he all right?
Anyone else have any more questions? Right, yeah, could I ask, is it 7 days a week normally?
Normally, yes.
Yeah.
It is constant and full on.
During the night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wake up with headaches. It interrupts my sleep. Yeah.
And how many other people do you know that are in your same situation?
As in other families?
Yes.
Well, I know of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I know of at least 10 other families. At least. Yep. And we all live sort of like within the same vicinity.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, talking to you.